Hello and welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. It's been a while since we've done a cricket video. Unfortunately, if you've been watching and sort of monitoring our coverage of the Lions Tour and Springboks, we have been so busy covering the rugby and stuff like that. We haven't really had enough opportunity to really give cricket enough of attention. But we are back, and hopefully, I'm really hoping that we'll be able to sort of adjust our schedules a little bit better to try and make sure that we're on top of everything cricket. It will also hopefully help sort of not playing between sort of 8 and midnight in South African Standard Time all the time. But it's been a fantastic tour for the Proteas in the West Indies, getting a T20 series win against the defending World Championship, as well as a 2-0 whitewash in the test matches. It really has been a phenomenal tour if you consider where the Proteas have been in the last sort of year and a half. You know, a lot of big players stepping up and making a big difference. Quinton de Kock back at his best. And debut wins for Dean Elgar and Temba Bavuma, which I think is probably the main thing. I think both of them probably would have wanted to have contributed more individually in both test series as well as the T20 series. But at the end of the day, you know, first time captaining their nations, and both of them come away with victory. So that's kind of the main thing. I think especially the T20 performance is probably so impressive, because I think if we're looking at the West Indies, we know that their test style doesn't have a lot of their big players, a lot of new players, and they haven't really always sort of performed at test level. But they are a team that did beat England at home 2 years ago. So let's not take anything away from that test series victory. But before we sort of dissect the tour, look at exactly what went down, some of the major players and stuff like that, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. As I said, we really want to try and do more creative content. We're trying to get ourselves into more press conferences so we can sort of bring you that side as well. The Proteas currently getting onto a plane to go to Ireland for the next limited over series that actually starts on Sunday the 11th of July. Is it Saturday the 11th? Sunday the 11th of July. They will be up against Ireland, which I know probably isn't sort of the best opposition, but it'll be interesting to sort of hopefully be able to give a couple of youngsters a go. And then after that, it's all attention towards the T20 World Cup. And I think that's something that Boucher was quite forward about, was saying that, you know, these were probably similar conditions to what we'll see in Abu Dhabi and Dubai at the end of the year. So that's why it was so important to go and beat such a quality outfit like the West Indies, you know, because it shows you we can play at these in these conditions. But if we look at the tour, we'll start with the tests. It started all at in St. Lucia, where, you know, in the first test we started off like a house on fire, and it was a major sort of it was just a sort of a sign of intent, I think, you know, after so many. I mean, we haven't won a test match, you know, away from home, test series away from home for about 2 years. And so, you know, we're losing the toss, you know, in the first time. We hardly won any tosses. I think we won one toss the entire tour out of the 7 matches. But in that first game, you know, we bowled our West Indies for 97, and you're thinking, well, where's this team been for the last few months? You know, it was a really incredible display. And, you know, in reply to bowling them out for 97, going and scoring 322 runs, you know, it was a mammoth effort from the Proteas to get an innings and 63-run victory. And I think that was a bit of a monkey off the back for the Proteas. I think they've been under so much pressure, so many negative things about them, that they needed to get off to a good start, because they are in very much a rebuilding phase. And a lot of people don't enjoy that phrase and kind of think that people use it as a cop-out. But they are in a rebuilding phase. You know, you've got 2 new captains, we've got a lot of young players sort of coming through, you've got players coming back from injury. You know, let's not forget that, especially in the test arena, how inexperienced our sort of frontline seam bowlers are. You know, the likes of Lungi Ngidi was playing, I think, a 6th test in that first test. So, you know, Anup Nokia has not played a lot of tests. It's only Rabada and Keshav Maharaj who've really had a lot of test experience. So that's why I said a lot of credit to them, because I think that especially someone like Lungi Ngidi, he's been battling a little bit, and he didn't have the best T20 series, but it was a case of him coming back and proving his mettle in the test series. So, look, second test victory was by 153 runs. Losing the toss again, bowling the West Indies out for 149 and 165. We posted 298 and 174 runs. So, you know, scoring over 600 runs in the West Indies for a side which his batting line has been under fire a lot in recent times. But if we look at some of the star performers, you know, before you sort of move into the T20, the star performers of the test, obviously Quinton de Kock was the player of the series in both series. He was sensational. Scored 237 runs in the test series, an average of 118, a striker of 70, his high score in test cricket as well, of 141. Rusty van der Dussen, also the second highest run scorer there, I think in both formats actually. But he scored 125 runs across the test, an average of 62, scoring the lone 50. But I mean, de Kock getting 100 and a 50. Apart from that, Dean Elgar scored the 150. I think he would have liked to have done. He also got a duck. He would have liked to have done more with the bat, I think. But what was quite nice to see was Kagiso Rabada actually coming to the fore a little bit with his batting. I mean, he actually ended up scoring more runs than Markram, Keegan Peterson, and Kyle Verreyn, who didn't have a particularly good time on debut and stuff like that, as well as Ian Mulder. Kagiso Rabada actually ended up scoring 65 runs with a high score of 40. I thought he looked destined for that maiden test 50. But an average of 32 looked very, very comfortable. I think we need to see more of that from Kagiso Rabada, because he does offer. I mean, if he can offer us something, we know he offers us so much with the ball. If he could offer us something with the bat as well, it would be such a big plus for South Africa. In terms of the bowlers in the Test series, Rabada took the most. This is where am I? Yeah, Rabada took the most wickets. He took 11 with the best of an innings of 5 for 34. He averaged just 11.45, an economy of 2.13, conceding 126 runs. He bowled 20 maidens across those 4 innings. I mean, a very, very good outing for Kagiso Rabada. And I think that when you think that he's now leading the attack and how young he is to really be sort of the spearhead and how he's had to hold that responsibility for quite a few years, I think we're starting to appreciate just how good he is. But somebody who silenced a lot of haters is Keshav Maharaj. What a tour he had in the Red Ball series. 9 wickets for him, a best of 5 for 36 in the innings, 7 for 83 in the match. Operating at an economy of 12.44. Lungi Ngidi getting himself 8 wickets. Anand Nokia getting himself 8 wickets. Ian Mulder getting himself a couple of wickets as well. So very, very chuffed with that test performance. And after that, it was all to the T20s. And the funny thing is after that first T20, which we lost by 8 wickets, and we got pummeled at the end of the day, the reaction was unbelievable. The Bavuma was a hopeless captain, and a lot of these players need to be dropped, and they're hopeless, and we're a horrible unit, and South African cricket in the mud. And then they responded by winning the second T20 and the third T20. And unfortunately, probably should have gone on to win the fourth T20. Kind of felt like we throw it away a little bit with that Karen Pollard innings, which really sort of defeated the Proteas in the fourth T20. But then in the last one, again, we went to a fantastic start, but then we sort of failed in the middle orders, and that's becoming a bit of an area of concern. Maybe something that's being a little bit over analyzed, but I do think that we need to try and look at why we can't kick on. I understand it's a lot more. It's very difficult scoring towards outside the power play because you've got fielders back, stuff like that. But we need to be able to find the boundary, and I think it was poor that we sort of whittled our way to 168 yesterday with 6 wickets in hand. Because if you've got 6 wickets in hand in the T20, where's the intent? If you're being caught on the boundary all the time and people are going for it, I can kind of go with it. But to sort of take 1s and 2s to get ourselves to 168 when you think we were in the final T20 shows a lot of bit of issues in that sort of middle order. But then a sublime bowling performance ensued, and we won by 25 runs to take a T20 series victory against the defending World T20 champions in their home ground. That is a no easy feat, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I also think that again, I think Bavuma, much like de Kock, would have liked to have contributed more with the bat. He averaged just 15, scored 56, but he had a high score of 46. He batted nicely in two of the 5. I thought. It didn't really come off all the time. Got a golden. Got a duck in the final match when he opened the batting. So I probably won't try and do that again. But you know what? At the end of the day, and what the nice thing is with something like Bavuma is that yesterday, and Dave Miller's often somebody that also has an issue because he had a horrible tour. But what they offer in the field, at least they can actually try and win some respect back in the field after a bad batting performance. Same with Bavuma yesterday, getting a duck and then going to be absolutely sublime in the field. A big learning curve for a lot of them. The first time a lot of them were playing in the Caribbean, playing against a very good bowling attack. But once again, it was Quinton de Kock who was just head and shoulders above the rest. 255 runs, an average of 51, a strike rate of 141, 350s out of the 5 T20s. What a player he is. A high score of 72. Evan Lewis was very good for the West Indies. He scored 178 runs at an average of 36. After that, we kind of struggled a little bit with our runs. Markham scoring 113, of which the big one was that 70 runs that he made in the final T20 yesterday. Van der Dussen started off pretty well and then kind of petted off. A high score of 56, scoring 97 runs and an average of 24. Louisa Hendricks scored 78 in his 4 matches, an average of 19. So, I mean, de Kock, Markram, and Van der Dussen probably, they are the pick of the batsmen, but I'd say that de Kock and Van der Dussen were probably the best. And Markram came off once yesterday, which is good to see, but He just continues to be a very frustrating batsman because he always looks so good. He always looks like he's settled in, and then often finds a way to get himself quite cheaply. But in terms of the bowlers, take a bow to Bree Shamsi. What an absolute superstar he was in. I mean, T20, number one T20 bowler in the world, and lots of people sort of go, well, it's because of the way it's work and stuff like that. He's not that good. He's not that good. Well, take your that sort of opinion and shove it, because Bree Shamsi was sensational. He took 7 wickets across the 5 matches, and an economy of 4. An economy of 4 in T20. And I mean, his first match, I think, was 1 for 27. After that, he did not go for more than 4 and over. The last 3 T20s, he went for less than 4 and over across his 4 overs. Sublime. An average of 11 from him, and a strike rate of 17. He was sensational. He really was. He was well backed up by Khisar Rabada, who took 7 wickets as well. An economy of 9.4, so it was much more expensive. George Linder was pretty solid. Went for an economy of 7.8, which is not too bad. You want to kind of sort of, an economy of about 6 in T20s is very impressive. So that's what sort of puts it in perspective how special that spell was, that those 5 games were from Bree Shamsi. Anuf Nortje was pretty solid. An economy of 7 across the 14 overs that he bowled. Lungi Ngidi was very, very expensive. He sort of, by the end of the tour, he averaged an economy of 10.94. So not a great tour by Ngidi, but I thought that he brought it back in the last game very, very well. And it takes a lot of mental toughness to be able to do that when you're under pressure, to be able to sort of respond. So where do we go from here? Well, I think the main thing is that the Proteas got the 2 victories. Mark Bausch has been under a lot of pressure. Tema Bavuma has been under a lot of pressure. And Dean Elgar, people were saying he was the logical choice, but was he going to be able to lead the side? And I think they answered a lot of questions. And the nice thing is they're sort of rolling onto Ireland, where they've hopefully got a chance to try and get some confidence. Obviously it's not the best side in the world, and they'll still provide a test. This is a side that has beaten England before, in a World Cup, in fact. But I think the main thing is now that we can go there, we can hopefully try and give a couple of players a chance. Get Calvin Rain playing, get Via Mulder playing more, and try and get players like, let's get Bavuma and some confidence up and stuff like that, and sort of work on managing the side. So I think we're very well positioned on the Proteas to be able to sort of build up some confidence before we sort of get to the harder tests. I don't have any complaints on the tour. I think that we can sort of nitpick about some performance and stuff. At the end of the day, when you leave the West Indies with 2 tour victories in the bag, including a T21 against, as I said, the world defending champions. We were on paper that West Indies side was unbelievable, and we did see some very big performances. So it's a fantastic experience for us, and I think that we sometimes get so caught up in being negative about the Proteas that we don't actually give them their dues when they do pitch up. So they were very impressive, and hopefully they can try and bring this momentum in. I think it's quite nice that we buried the hatchet with the Avery de Villiers situation. We don't have to worry about whether he will be back or whether he's not. He's made it clear that he will not be coming back. So now we just need to get on. We still need to put Faf du Plessis into the side, the T20 side. So I think there's quite a lot of players who are playing for positions in that T20 World Cup. So it should be quite interesting how we go in the coming months. Let me know what you thought of the series down below. Smash like on the video. Do subscribe. For the Ireland series, we want to try and be a bit more regular, doing previews and reviews and actually keeping you up to date with what's going on. We'll obviously try and keep you up to date in terms of the press conferences, getting you side there, taking you as close as we can to the Proteas over there in Europe. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you guys soon.